Little Noam traveled a long way to see his favorite star play, but to his surprise, Luka Doncic wasn't on the court. The NBA had some player availability issues that day, but it was definitely a little heartbreaking. But leave it to the Maverick star to turn a league-wide problem into a kind gesture. Luka Doncic went ahead and gave the 13-year-old fan his dream gift. Stay tuned as we talk about this heartwarming gesture. First up, Doncic's gift for the fan. About an hour before the Mavericks' overtime loss to the Cavaliers on Saturday night, 13-year-old Noam Dorfman and his dad Lev sat in the second row of courtside seats in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. They waited just behind the basket where Dallas players warmed up and hoped that Luka Doncic would show up, but to their disappointment, he wasn't even in Cleveland that night. The Mavericks decided to sit Doncic in their third set of back-to-back games in 2 weeks to give him some extra rest. Noam's birthday wish was to see Doncic play, and his homemade poster said he had traveled 5,958 miles just to see Luka. This also highlighted how hard it is for superstars to be available all the time in the NBA, where teams use load management to keep their players healthy and ready for the playoffs during a long 82-game season. But Doncic is smart enough to turn a debate with no clear answer into a kind thing to do. During the game on Saturday, a member of the Mavericks communications team got in touch with Lev. He told Lev that Doncic had asked the Dorfmans to be his guest at the team's next game in the Midwest on March 27th in Indianapolis. Noam already has a royal blue number 77 Mavericks jersey, and now his favorite player will send him a special gift. When he heard about the makeup plan, Noam couldn't help but beam. The Dorfmans live in Israel, but they moved to Cincinnati for a few months for Lev's pediatric work. The kid came a long way to see his idol, but was disappointed by the NBA. Moving on to why Luka was left. Noam wanted to see Doncic for his 13th birthday and bar mitzvah, so Lev booked a hotel and drove them to Cleveland for the weekend. But the NBA schedule had other plans. The Mavericks beat the Portland Trail Blazers at the American Airlines Center, but their charter flight to Cleveland didn't leave until almost midnight. They brought their bags to the hotel and got there around 4 a.m. Coach Jason Kidd said that he, his assistants, and the team's medical staff are always talking to the players about how their bodies hurt and how they feel after games. They also take each player's average minutes, recent patterns in playing time, the upcoming schedule, and travel times into account when planning nights off. It's essential to give players rest during the 82-game regular season, which lasts 6 months. So they decided to leave Doncic at home for the first game of this 4-game road trip so he could rest his right thigh strain. Doncic also sat out the second half of the Mavericks doubleheader on December 10th in Chicago. The night before, he had played in Dallas at 9 p.m. against the Milwaukee Bucks. Kidd said that there could also be a time when there isn't a back-to-back and we give him the day off or game off for rest or injury. Luka is averaging a career-high 36.6 minutes a night and is one of only 3 players in the league with a usage rate higher than 37% this season. So it's no surprise that the team wants him fit and healthy for the playoffs. Moving on to the problem Noam's birthday highlighted. The Mavericks' approach adds to the ongoing debate about how the league should balance player safety and health with the demands of the season. Recently, for example, the NBA fined the Brooklyn Nets $25,000 for not following rules about reporting injuries when they rested 8 players. This included superstars Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Ben Simmons on the second night of a back-to-back against the Indiana Pacers. The Miami Heat were also fined $25,000 because they didn't follow the rules for reporting injuries on a night when All-Star Jimmy Butler didn't play. Miami answered back by putting every player on the next day's list of injured players. The load management problem has stuck around since San Antonio Spurs head coach Greg Popovich started the practice to help his players stay healthy and play longer. In turn, the Spurs' healthy scratches changed big games that were going to be shown on national TV with little notice. Even though most people agree that star players should be careful to avoid injuries, many people wonder if the NBA owes fans a better product and promise of availability. Most teams don't say who will be in charge of load management until a few hours before tip-off. The Dorfmans gave a real-life example of the dilemma on Saturday, but we hope it won't happen again. The March game between the Mavericks and Indiana, which is Noam's makeup date with Doncic, is the second night of a back-to-back. Even though there are clear problems for the fans in the NBA, many players are quick to give back to the fans. Speaking of which, here are some more NBA players who gave back to the fans, starting off with a similar incident to Noam's. You have to love it when a story has a happy ending, and this one definitely did. Corey Brandt was in Detroit to watch Tayshaun Prince play for the Pistons on the day he was traded to the Memphis Grizzlies. But Prince never walked out of the tunnel, and it seems like he slowly realized what had happened. So he took off his jersey and sat down in his puddle of sadness. But the huge Prince fan was given a trip to see the Grizzlies play the Minnesota Timberwolves from courtside seats, an autographed Prince jersey, and a chance to meet the forward before the game. In the end, everything seemed to work out for Brant. We're hoping that Noam and Lev's story will reach a similar or better ending. Moving on to Jalen Green. A video was posted by the Clutch fans' Twitter account in January 2022, and it was very heartwarming. It starts with 19-year-old basket player Jalen Green walking back to the locker room after a game. He's seen taking off the shoe he wore during the game and giving it to a young and very excited fan in the stands. Soon enough, the fan started crying because of Green's heartfelt kindness. Since then, the video has received more than 2,000 likes and a lot of positive comments. Green is just 19 years old, and he's already welcoming the fans. It's nice to see even the younger generation of players know what matters the most. Next up, LeBron James played catch with the fans. LeBron James is considered the GOAT by many of the NBA fans, but this act proved he came from humble beginnings. It was probably one of the most interesting fan-player interactions ever. The fan who was involved was even interviewed on air afterward. The ball went into the stands with just a few seconds left in the second quarter of Miami's blowout win over the LA Clippers, and a fan jumped up and grabbed it. Then LeBron James went to the sidelines and told the coach to give him the ball. LeBron and the fan then passed it back and forth a few times before the game started again. There were only a few seconds left in the game, so it didn't hurt to mess around for a second or two, but that fan will remember it for the rest of their lives. Not many people can say they played catch with LeBron James in the middle of a basketball game. Moving on to Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving was loved by the fans long before making it big. He's one of those players who's always respected them. This is how the big NBA star won over fans all over the country. He also has a great sense of humor, which he shows in the hilarious Pepsi Max commercial where he plays Uncle Drew, an old man trying to teach the new kids how to play basketball. Irving also has a sense of responsibility for the area around him. After a car accident killed 4 young Cavs fans in Cleveland, Irving took a wristband from a fan to remember them. He later tweeted that he was blessed to have it and wouldn't be taking it off. That is the kind of story that brings a player and his fans even closer together. Coming up next, the entire Phoenix Sun team. At a game between the Phoenix Suns and the New York Knicks, a fan had one of the best experiences they'd ever had in the NBA. Tim Bovin, a Suns fan, made a half-court shot that won him $77,777 during the second quarter of the game. Before making his way back to half-court, Bovin was running around the court and high-fiving the officials. To his surprise, when he made it to the half-court, he was greeted by the entire Suns team. The team joined him in celebrating by jumping in the air and bumping into each other as they always do. Now that is something Tim will never forget. Next on the list is Steph Curry. Curry is set on his mission to work with USAID and the UN to cut down on malaria around the world. In 2012, he gave 3 sleeping nets for every 3-point shot he made, and in 2016, he also pushed the #CallYourShot fundraising campaign to help people in places where malaria was a problem. Since 2018, he's also given 1 bed to a person with malaria for every 10,000 pairs of his famous sneakers sold through nothing except for sneakers. Curry also gives scholarships to the families of active duty soldiers through the Thanks USA golf tournaments. Since it began in 2011, more than $150,000 have been raised. He also worked with Chase Bank to fix up the Carol Hefner Center in Charlotte, where he was born. Steph Curry is definitely a star on and off the field. That's a wrap for this video. Did you like Doncic's kind gesture? What are your thoughts on the other instances of players giving back to their fans? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and we'll see you in the next one.